Trace Trylko with UCF men's soccer head coach Scott Calabrese. Coach, how do you reflect back on this spring season as you look at it now?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, we're so happy and grateful that we got to play. That was not an easy undertaking. We had a lot of support in being able to do that. The trainers and the medical staff, they had to put in, they always put in a really, really huge amount of work and a big shift on a daily basis, but the stress on them was incredible. I think we start with, we're really, really grateful that we got to do it, and then you look back and you say, to start 1-3, which is a lot of adversity in the beginning, and then to be able to move to improve so much over that period of time, and what we then were able to do at the end was really, really rewarding, and something that I think we'll look back on for years and years and think, wow, that was an incredible season for us. So we're really happy with how it all ended, and the difficulties we had at the beginning probably set us up to have a successful season.
How did not having non-conference games impact you off the start?
Yeah, I think, you typically divide your season into multiple seasons. You say, okay, we have a preseason and we have goals in preseason, and then we move towards non-conference, and we're still really trying to figure things out, and you're trying to understand the new players, how they integrate, trying to put everybody on the same page, and we just were straight out of the gate into conference games that had implications. So I think that does hurt you in a way, because our conference is always this massive focus for us. But now, of course, that's changed, and we're able to have this preseason, a non-conference season, and then hopefully through that non-conference season we're very focused and ready for the conference season.
Deep run in postseason, doesn't start off well against Pittsburgh. You got to be proud of the guys, though, that they put together the season they did after the start that they had.
Oh, it's we had to come a long way in a really short period of time, from our starting point, which was a low starting point, to be able to say, okay, here we are in the Sweet 16. There was a lot of growth in that group in a lot of different ways, and a lot of young players that had to really step up. So I mean, you look back and you look at the players and what they were able to accomplish, and the growth that happened in the group, collectively, individually. It was something special.
Where do you think the program is now? The games that you played with James Madison, Pittsburgh, and where UCF is in the college landscape?
Yeah, I think it's funny. We just really, wherever we are, we try to focus on how do we get better. I mean, we can talk about where we were last year. We don't really know where we are today, but what I'd say is we're constantly, even going to the Sweet 16, even when you look at winning a conference championship, playoff championship for the first time in the American, winning the regular season title, and then going to the Sweet 16, we still look back and we're really, we felt like we accomplished a lot, but then we can look back and say, hey, these are the things that we can improve as a group, and we want to take more steps forward. And I could tell you, it probably doesn't matter where we would, what happens in any given season. We're always saying, okay, how can we make this program better? How can we improve the players? How can we improve what we do as coaches? How can we support the players better? And so no matter what, that's really our approach.
You get the exhibition win, quite a few goals. What are your takeaways from that?
So I think takeaways, for one, it's really good to evaluate the group and to see new players, see where returning players are, see the mentality of the group. I think that was the number one thing that we talked about, that we were going to evaluate ourselves on, was, how do we react when something doesn't go according to the way we think it should go? What about how we react when we have success? If we score a goal, do we, we scored 2 goals, do we stop playing? Do we lower our effort? Do we lower our concentration? And so I think the first test was, okay, we responded well mentally. It's great because then you can see, with only 5 days into our preseason training, there's lots that we can get better at. And now we have video that we can show players. And with the right mentality, which we had in that game, you say, okay, now here's how we can improve. So that's the number one thing we take away from that game, is we had a good mentality towards the game. Number two, okay, we gained a little bit of confidence. We were dangerous in the final third. That's always something that we want to be. We want to be really good around goal. Goals change games, and we're an attacking-minded team. So I thought, really good start. Lots of things we can grow from that we could see in that game, and then put on film, and then put in front of the players.
Talk a little bit more about your offense. It looks like you're going to have multiple guys who can score goals for you on any given night.
I think that's if you were to probably analyze the most successful teams in kind of historically in college soccer, you'd say that that's the case, right? You have wingers that can score goals. You have forwards that can be counted on to score goals. You have attacking midfield players that can be counted on to score goals and create goals. You usually get some goals from center backs, or from a holding mid, maybe on set pieces, or from long distance shots. You have to be able to generate goals from multiple areas, and we do that in part because of collectively how we play. We don't say, oh, this is the one player we have to get the ball to. It's not our approach. So I feel like we have a lot of players who are dangerous, a lot of players who are effective in the final third. And it's not ever about any one player. It's about how is the team going to create chances. There's a lot of times where there's movement between players. So a forward might end up in the wing, and the winger may end up in the forward position or the attacking mid. And when you're in those positions and you get your chance, you have to be able to convert. And I think we do have players who can do that.
You don't want to single out any player or players, but who were you looking to be those guys that finish in that final third?
Yeah. Well, I think we have quite a few. Gino obviously comes to mind because he can create goals for himself 1v1. He's got good positioning. He can score goals in the box. And then you can go through and you can say Jonas Schmalbach, Gianluca Arcangeli, Luca Dorado. So those are three guys that are playing in that 9 position. That's obviously one of the roles of the 9. Probably the most important role of the 9 is to create chances and score goals. Nick Taylor, who's come in now and joined us from SMU, is a really dangerous attacking player. Alessandro Campoy is a really dangerous attacking player from FIU. Has a history of scoring and creating goals. Mauricio, in and around goal. You saw he got a goal against Stetson. And I mean, even you look at Anderson Rosa and Caleb Frankie, 2 outside backs that can attack, and both of those guys in training and in finishing exercises, you see them. If they're around the goal, they're going to have the ability to score goals and create chances too. Both have a great delivery, so it's kind of everybody.
An abundance of riches,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah.
Goals change games.
Yeah.
Defense, though, changes a lot of things.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's talk about some of what you're looking for from your defense this season.
Yeah, I think number one, with the way that we try to play, when we're effectively playing the way we want, we have possession of the ball. We play pretty high on the field, and so there's a lot of space in behind us. So number one, how we defend in transition is really important. Part of the way we defend is if we have the ball 60% of the time, then the other team doesn't, which means they can't score. So that's a big component of how we defend. Just we have the ball, limit the number of chances for our opponent, be really good in transition moments. And then of course we actually have an experienced back line coming back now, because you have Andreas and Giannis as 2 center backs. You have Anderson Rosa, you have Caleb Frankie. So we have that back line all together. And that group now has to really gel. They have bigger spaces to defend in these transition moments. They've got to be really good in those moments, and then they also have to be really good defending in the box.
A big change at goalkeeper. What has it been like to have coached Yannick?
Yannick is amazing, and he is exactly where he should be right now. Like this is an opportunity that he earned, and if you ask me, I'm surprised it didn't come a little sooner for him because of how his performances were here. But I think COVID probably played into that. But he's where he needs to be with the opportunity that he has earned. He was our captain for a reason. He was an amazing leader, a vocal leader, has a really big presence in the group. So mostly, I'm really just happy that Yannick is, that's part of the reason that Yannick came here is to elevate what he was doing individually as a person that wanted to have a professional career, and now here he's got a really good opportunity now, and now this is just an opportunity for him. He's got to make the most of it, which, knowing him, he'll make the most of it.
Big gloves to fill, though. What does the competition look like at goalkeeper?
Yeah, it's big gloves to fill. Agree. You've got Matty Douglas, who's junior, COVID junior, senior really, I think by academics, but experienced. He had a really good summer. He went and he played with the Tampa Bay Rowdies in their USL2 team. You've got Tyler Levine, and so Tyler, he played this summer, had a really good summer. He was playing with Orlando City's under 23s, and then now we have back Bernardo Brandao, who was kind of trapped in Brazil and couldn't get out. So we've got all three of those guys in, and all three of them have an opportunity now to fight for that position. I would tell you, Matt and Tyler, they were smart to go and get games and play in games because they haven't played in a lot of games in a period of time now, and goalkeepers need games. So I think they were able to take advantage of what was a good summer for them, and now it's up to them to fight it out and to see which one rises to the top. Right now it's completely open.
How did Matt benefit from jumping into some games during that spring season?
Yeah, I think the only way you really get comfortable, and maybe comfortable is not the right word, but maybe you feel ready for big games, important games, conference games, is that you play in them, and then you understand, okay, this is what it feels like to be in this big game. There's a lot on the line. And so I think Matt playing in those games really does help. You now know what the intensity is like. Hopefully you can handle the pressure of it. So I do think it's a really important thing.
What's the challenge of having played a season in the spring and coming back now in the fall on the guys physically, their bodies?
I think it's actually better. They played a real season. They had a very good break. When you look at the time they had off, less likely that they were going to detrain going from the spring season now into the work they do, the volunteer work they do in the summer. So I actually think they're probably in as good a place, a better place than they would have been had we played a traditional fall season, traditional spring, non-conference, non-traditional season, and then you go into this fall. I think this is a great spot for them to be in. I think they're better off now.
Why did you schedule the non-conference slate that you did? What were your goals behind that?
Yeah, I think you always want a number of different things, right? You want to test yourself. You want to go and you want to find these really high-level teams, and that's very important. So when you look at an FIU. Playing in Conference USA, they're typically somewhere in the top 25. When you look at the past 5-6 seasons, they're always there. Really good Florida team, big rivalry, good opening night game, and then we pick up Virginia Tech and NC State. And Virginia Tech, I want to say, was a Sweet 16 team last year, and NC State is a top ACC team. I feel like they were first round of the NCAA tournament, if I remember correctly. So, you've got those games, and then you've got your Florida rivalries. And FGCU is typically a top ASUN team, They're typically fighting for the NCAA tournament, and then UNF, we've played them a number of times in the spring and the regular season, and that's going to be a big game. They're going to be up for us. They'll have a great plan for us. The last time we played them, I want to say it was 0-0 in the spring, but was such a good game and difficult game for us. So I feel like that group of games right there gets us ready, gets out hopefully a lot of the mistakes that we might make, increases our understanding of how to play together, and then now we're ready for conference.
All to be battle tested for what you know is going to be a very competitive conference. Like, what have you learned about this conference, and how has it gotten better?
So what happened in the spring, because we played this home and home, is that everyone, as if we didn't know each other well enough as it is, everyone now has a really good plan for when they play their opponent. And what ends up happening is, you play one of these opponents, and win or lose, you figure out what did you do right, what hurt them, what did you do wrong, and they figure out the exact same about you. And so then the next time you play them, they've got some adjustment. And so it's back and forth. I want to say over the last 3-4 years, the games have become more tactical. The coaches have prepared better and better in every game. The level's very high. So it's a really, and so now you meet them twice during the regular season, and then now you're going to meet them a third time during the playoffs. It's difficult. It's really difficult.
And how does it feel to be the hunted, or do you instill in your club that they're still the hunters?
So I would say every year is different, right? And so when you're never defending a title. That doesn't exist. That was last year's title that you won, and that's great. And you get to look back at that, and you have a ring, and hopefully you put that ring away. But like you are 100% trying to create something new and hunting something new. Our team is different. We should have confidence from past performance, but we shouldn't say, okay, because of past performance, now all of a sudden we've arrived. Like, we have to go. There's no points on the board for anybody, and so now we have to go and we have to get the first 3 points on the board when we get to our conference. But we don't even talk about conference until we talk about FAU, and we talk about our performance against FAU. So I would say the mentality is to know that you're not defending anything. You've got to go, and it's not even do it again. You've got to go do it.
And if all goes well, you have expanded capacity, fans that get to come back out. But even if they're watching on ESPN Plus, what do you expect they will see from your club in this season?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my hope is that they see unbelievable effort. This strong mentality from the group, both sides of the ball, relentless effort, deep concentration, giving everything for UCF, and then with that in place, then you're going to see hopefully us in possession, opening teams up, creating chances, controlling games. That's our goal. That's our goal. And so that's the expectation. The expectation isn't necessarily, okay, how many we should win, how many we should lose, should we win a championship, should we not? It's those things. That's the expectation.
UCF men's soccer head coach Scott Calabrese, thanks for joining us on the Sons of UCF. Good luck this season.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.